This is my free 1981 Pontiac Firebird. And this is the pile of parts that I bought to make it look like this.
Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange.
All right, let's get into it. All right, so this is the pile of parts that I ordered. It is minus a few things like the Formula hood with the dual scoops, the front chin spoiler, and the front fender flares, as well as both door panels. And the passenger side floorboard patch panel is all on back order. They're out a few months, but I wasn't going to wait that long and make you guys wait that long to get another episode. So I'm going to go with what I got so far. So starting off here, I went ahead and found some Trans Am fenders online. These were $150 each. They're in perfect condition. There's surface rust and stuff on the paint, whatever, but it's all going to get painted anyway. I went with these because I think that the little scoop on the side painted black along with all the other black accents will look pretty nice. So I went ahead and got some of those. I also went ahead and ordered a brand new trunk lid because the one on the back has a big dent in it, as you guys saw in the last video. I also ordered new side panels for the rear seats. I couldn't get them in blue. I only found them in black, but I think I made the decision that I'm going to change the entire interior over to black interior because with the white and the black accents, I think the black paint or the black interior will look really nice. I also got a new welding hood because my other welding hood stopped working. So I was like, well, I need to get a new one because I'm going to be doing the patch panels and all that kind of stuff. So also got some brand new headlights. They're LED, nice and bright. Those will look good in there. I got brand new mirrors for the sides because it only has one mirror on it and I want to have both mirrors on it. This little box right here is the hardware for mounting the rear wing that I got back there. Got a new e-brake cable because the one that's in it's super rusty, as you'll see later on in the video. I got sound deadening to put on the floor so it'll be nice and quiet, or quieter anyway. The rear fender flares did come, so I have those. I got a brand new steering wheel. I got it with the blue accent, but after I ordered that is when I decided that I was going to change it all over to black, but I think a little tiny bit of blue will be fine. Kind of paying homage to the fact that it used to be a blue interior. Got the rear gutters for the sides of the trunk, because as you'll see, those are rusted and need to be replaced as well. I got the rear taillight panel. There's nothing wrong with the taillight panel that's on the vehicle, but this top piece right here where the trunk seal goes into has some rusted holes in it and stuff, so I'm going to have to take this small piece off. As you can see, there's little spot welds there. I need to get that piece off so that I can transfer it over to the trunk of the Firebird so that the seal will be on there properly. I got a whole new set of rubbers for the door jambs, the door sweeps for the inner and outer door sweeps, as well as a new trunk seal. Underneath of this one here, which I forgot to take off, is the carpet. But again, I ordered that in blue, and I want to change the interior over to black, so I'm trying to keep it covered so that it stays nice and dry, so that they'll have no problem taking it back to exchange it for a black one. I got the driver's side patch panel. As you'll see later in the video, I will show you where the rusted spots are. But down here where the e-brake cable goes through, it's a real low spot. There's some rusted holes there. And then there's one right over here that's really small and needs to be replaced anyway. So I'm not going to be using the entire patch panel. I'll literally just be taking out the pieces that I need, so it'll be less work and there'll be more of the original steel in there. I got the headlight buckets and brackets and bezels for it. The lower valance, brand spanking new. I got a Endura bumper. I was able to get this for $600, and it had like $140 shipping on it. So I got it shipped. There's a couple little spots on it that need to be fixed. There's a little chunk out of it right here and right here. And on the other end, there is a crack right here that'll have to be repaired. Other than that, it's actually in really good condition. The paint's chipping off, but it's not all like spider webbed and horrible looking like most of them are. Also went ahead and ordered the bumper brackets. These larger L-shaped ones, those were $400 for just those L-shaped ones. And then the smaller ones themselves were $125 for those. And those mount on to the back of the bumper and then mount to these larger L-shaped ones. Also got a original rear wing for it. That's going to get sanded down and painted black, as you saw in the rendering. But there is still a bunch of parts that haven't come, like I said, like the hood, the lower chin spoiler with the fender flares, the door panels, and the patch panel for the passenger side floor pan. Other than that, we're going to get started. We're going to get all these parts pulled inside because it started to sprinkle on me as I set this thing up. So let's get all these cleaned up and then we'll get back into it. All right, we'll see you in a second. All right, so I got all the parts picked up. Now I'm going to come in here and show you the rust repair that I have to do on it. The car overall is pretty solid, but there is a few spots that need to be dealt with. So let's jump in and take a peek at those. Starting off, first thing in here on the driver's side floor pan, right here where the e-brake cable goes through. I ordered a new e-brake cable because that one's pretty rusty and crappy looking. But you can see the floor pan right here, and this little pocket is pretty rusted out. But I should be able to just do a small patch. I'll run along this line here and a piece here and just replace that. The rest of this is all super solid. And then right up here, you can see there is a hole right here. So if I replace maybe a 2 or 3 inch by 3 inch square area right there, that'll take care of that. The rest of that's all super solid. Over on the passenger side, it's a little bit worse. You can see down in here, this area is pretty heavily rusted, so I'll replace a little L shape going through there to replace that. These little spots here, these are all just surface rust. I whacked on those pretty good. They're pretty solid. There is a hole right here and another one over here, but I should be able to do a little square patch off of the new patch panel for that as well. So that's really all the rust there is on the floor pan. The rest of it's super solid the rest of the way throughout. Another thing that I ordered that didn't come yet is the bushing kit for the doors, because they sag a little bit. So when I close the door sometimes it doesn't close very well. And then moving on to another spot that will need rust repair. Come back here to the trunk. And I pulled the trunk seal off, and you can see up in here how the rail area, put my finger behind so you can see it, is kind of rusted away there. Same thing here. There's a hole going through there. And then another one back here that I can easily patch up. But this area right here, that's a lip, is those small little pieces that I got, which will replace that. You can see right there is rusted away as well. And then back here, same thing, is it's completely gone right there. That piece I can make with just some regular sheet metal, bend it up. And there's another spot here. These ones I'm not going to worry about too much because the seal will be under those. But where it's, you know, kind of rusted away pretty good right there. And then same thing on this little piece that I got for replacing along here is fairly rusted out pretty well there too, as well, as you can see. And then right here on the quarter panel, I'll have to make something to patch that spot because there's a hole there. And then when the whatever hit the trunk to put the dent in the trunk, it also bent this piece here, and this part of the rail is also rusted through. So and then there's a hole right there. So on the rear taillight panel that I ordered, I could not get this top piece where this bend is at. I could not get that separate. I had to order the whole piece. Maybe somebody else knows how to find that by itself, but it's too late now. I had to order the whole panel. But so I'll be taking that off. It's a bunch of spot welds on the bottom side, and then I can replace this piece that has the bend and the holes in it. And then this top piece is pretty solid. Other than right here, I'll be able to cut a piece out, you know, where it's solid there over to here, and then just weld that little piece in. The back stuff's pretty good on it. So that'll be a little bit challenging to do, but I think I'll be able to handle it. And the floor pan itself, it's getting wet because there's no seal in here, but the floor pan itself is pretty solid. There's a couple of little pinholes and stuff here and there, but should be able to patch those up pretty well without having to do a full floor pan in the trunk. So anyway, so that's the rust repair in the trunk. That's something I'll have to be doing too. And then this trunk, somebody had said I could probably, you know, fix this trunk with this dent, but it's pretty heavy dent, as well as it's pretty well rusted out on the bottom. And for the, I think it was like $97 or something like that for a brand new trunk lid. To me, that seems worth spending the money to get a brand new one. Anyway, so that's just a quick rundown on the things that are going to need to be dealt with on it before I can start putting stuff onto the car. I need to do the repairs on the floor and on the trunk and stuff before I can actually start, you know, sound deadening the floor and getting the carpet in and all that stuff. So but as you can see, it's raining out here. I can't really do much out here in the rain, so what I'm going to do is rearrange the garage and put the Firebird in over here where the Torino's at, and then I can just move the Torino. It is drivable. Move it over to this side, and then every time I film, I'll be filming inside, so I don't have to worry about if it's raining or not. And I can just pull the Torino out and have plenty of room in there to film, and you guys can be able to see pretty good. So anyway, let's get this all rearranged so we can get the Firebird pulled inside and get started. All right, so I got all the stuff moved from around the Torino, and in case you're wondering, and you didn't see in my previous episode, this is my 1968 Ford Torino GT Fastback. I bought this thing at an estate auction for $1,500, and I got a second one. They were grouped together that was flintstoned out. The floor was completely gone, but I got both of them for $1,500. The engine and transmission, everything had been completely rebuilt in it. It's all original steel. I got it in the exact condition that it's in, other than from the windshield back where you see that it's light gray color. That still had the paint on it, but the guy had started sanding that all down, so we finished sanding it and then epoxy primer sealed it. The front half stuff was already stripped down and painted black at that point. So anyway, let's get this thing started up so we can get the Firebird pulled in here. All right, let's do it. It sounds really good, so let's let it warm up and then we'll get it pulled out. All right, let's get the Firebird fired up. Okay, so while I was waiting for the parts, I didn't film it, but I did a tune-up on it. I did film the tune-up and everything, but after I did that, it was still not running real great. So I looked underneath at the catalytic converter where it was leaking, and took that off, and the catalytic converter was clogged solid, so that's part of the reason why it wasn't running good. So right now it's just ends right at where the cat was, and then I welded a cherry bomb on there for now. So it's not going to stay that way because I plan on doing an LS swap on it, but we're going to let it warm up for a minute and then we'll get the car swapped around. All right, let's give it a second. All right, so we got the Firebird pulled in the garage, and the first thing we're going to tackle is taking care of that driver's side floor pan. All right, let's get started. Okay, so first things first, have to come in here and get these seats removed, because on the last episode when I pulled the carpet out, once I was done filming, I actually ended up putting the seats in so I could, move it around and stuff. So let's get these seats out here, and then we can take a look at getting the e-brake cable removed, and then take a deeper look on this rust repair. So, all right, let's get these seats out here. All right, so I got the driver's side seat removed. Now I need to come in here and get this e-brake cable out of the way. And then after that, we'll jack it up in the air, because the fuel line and the brake line run right along this edge here. And so when I go to cut that, I don't want to end up cutting one of those lines. So anyway, let's get this e-brake cable off here, then we'll get up in the air. And in case anybody was wondering why there's twine on here, it's because the e-brake continues to fall and apply itself. So in order to move it around, it has to be tied up. So if anybody was wondering why that's there. So anyway, all right, let's get this e-brake cable off, and then we'll get it up in the air. Okay, so you can see the bracket right here that holds the e-brake cable in, and the hole right here. But anyway, this is spot welded to the floor pan, so I need to get the spot welds drilled out on that, but also the fuel line here and the brake line. I need to undo these clamps right here so that I can move that away, so that when I go to cut, I don't have to worry about cutting into those. So let's get these all undone so I can get this pulled down and off to the side, so that when I go to cut it, I don't have to worry about cutting these. Okay, so I pulled the fuel line and the brake line down and just put a 2x4 in here, which spaces it down away from the floorboard plenty, so when I go to cut it, I don't have to worry about hitting these lines. So anyway, all right, let's go up inside and get the spot welds drilled out. There's one right there, and maybe another over here, but it's already rusted away. So I need to drill those out, and then I'm gonna come along, let's see, about here. So I'll probably come along here and then back in here close enough to where we eliminate the rust spot, and then up. So that's where my cut line is going to be. And then the patch panel, I'll make a piece, or cut a piece out of the new floor patch panel, about a little bit bigger, so I can lay it down on here and then fine tune it and get it to where it's the exact shape of what I cut out, and then we can weld that patch piece back in. So let's get these spot welds drilled out, and then we'll get this cut out of here. Got this patch all cut out now. So we take that and we can lay it over the top of the full floor patch panel and draw it a little bit wide, so that when I set it in here I can fine tune it. And I was looking at this, and the last spot weld is actually right here at this line. So if I cut a straight line right there, I'll just miss the edge of it, so I won't actually have to drill out anymore. So I might actually take and make that straight so it's easier, because trying to fine tune and get it to fit nice and tight along this curve right here might be challenging. So if I just do a straight cut, it'll be a little bit easier. So I'll probably get this straight. So I need to come in here, I need to get all this cleaned up and get the bare metal exposed, get this lower piece cleaned up, and then get it shot with some weld through copper primer, so that when I weld this on, and I actually have a pinch welder, but I don't think it'll reach around the rocker here. So I'll probably have to plug weld those back to it. So anyway, all right, well, let's get this part cut right here, and then get the metal all cleaned up around here so we can get the new patch made. All right, so I came in and overlaid the piece I cut out, and I marked it bigger than what I cut out, so I can sneak up on it. After I cut it out, I can set it in there and then sneak up on it and make sure that it's a perfect fit, so I don't have to do any big welds, you know, joining gaps and stuff together. So let's get this piece cut out of here, and then we can get it laid in there and see how it fits. All right, so I got the patch made. I snuck up on it so it fits in there nice, so I can get it welded in. I didn't want to bore you guys with me getting the patch panel fine-tuned so it fit perfectly. So anyway, let's get this E-coat cleared off of here, and then we can get it tacked in place and then get a weld on it. All right, let's do it. All right, so I was going to hit this bracket down here for the e-brake cable with some weld-through primer, but I'm out. I just ran to the store and they don't have any. So I'm going to use it right now to help hold this in place, and then I'll draw out the spot welds here, take it off, spray it with some weld through primer after I get some, and then put it back on and weld it in place after the fact. So As you see me putting this on here, and this doesn't have anything on it, don't think I'm going to leave that bare. I'm just using it right now to help hold it in place. So I'll have to deal with that with the weld through primer later on. So anyway, let's get this thing in place and get it all welded up.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. You check as I'm chess, what's happening next? Yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson. He got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill no discretion. Your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me.
All right, so I went ahead and finished up doing the grinding on it, and then also replacing the patch panel up there. Since I'd be leaning in the way of the camera, really wouldn't be able to see me do it. So I went ahead and finished up that. I did a patch right here, another one right up here, as you can see, and then there's another one right here that I did a patch panel on a rough spot. And then I covered it all up with seam sealer, which is a shame because it looks like crap, but the seam sealer will ensure that if there's any little pinholes in my welds or anything, that no moisture will come up through there. And then you got this other, you know, seam sealer stuff that they put right here over this little plug that looks crappy anyway, so it doesn't look any worse than that. So anyway, we're all done with what's under here for now because we're still waiting on the patch panel over there, and I don't want to put any of the sound deadening and all that stuff down and still have to do cutting and grinding and welding over there, so I don't want to ruin that. So now I'm going to come in here with some Zero Rust and spray over it to make sure it's all one uniform color. And then it'll be all sealed up and shouldn't have to worry about any rust in there for any time soon. So, all right, let's get this shot with some Zero Rust, then we'll move on to something else. All right, looks a heck of a lot better now that it's all one uniform color. It's not all gray from the seam sealer, so looks a heck of a lot better. I'd say it came out pretty good. We don't got to worry about any water getting in and getting the carpet wet. We don't have to worry about the rust up here anymore. Like I said, we're still waiting on the one on the passenger side. It's still in shipping, so while we're waiting on that, we can't put any of the sound deadening and all that stuff in there, so for now we're done inside. So let's move on to the back. We're going to come back here and we're going to get the trunk lid taken off because it's, you know, scrap metal at this point. And then we're going to deal with the trunk surrounds that are in there. All right, let's get this trunk up and take a look. All right, so we got the trunk up. Like I said, I got to come in here and change out these rails and stuff. So, but for now, let's get this trunk off here and then we'll have a little bit more room. I'm not quite sure how exactly I'm going to film it because I believe I'm going to have to get in here and lay down to look up because there's pinch welds on the bottom of this and I have to drill those out. And I don't want to drill them out from the top side because I'm actually going to use a pinch welder and weld that back properly, and I don't want any holes to have to weld up. Plus getting in there to grind them down would be pretty much impossible because it's a pretty tight fit. So I'm going to have to get in here and lay down and drill out the spot welds along here. So I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to film because it'll be kind of awkward, but I'm sure I'll do a little bit of it because I'm going to have to get in there in a pretty awkward position. So anyway, let's get this trunk off here and then we'll see what we got to do about drilling those out. All right, so I got the trunk off. I'm going to climb in here and see if I can mark where all the little pinch welds are at so I can get those drilled out. So let me climb in here and then see how many I can find. All right, let's do it. It's a nice, comfy fit. Not. Okay, so I can see a few of them. One there, another one here, another one here. I can feel them more than I can see them, but I can see them a little bit. Another one here. Man, I need them like every freaking inch and a half. That's gonna be a pain in the butt. One right here, another one here. My goodness, here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then there's one on the end of each one of them. So about 14 or so, and that's the ones that I can see. I'm sure there's a couple that I can't see or feel, but let's start drilling these out and see if we can get this off here.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again. Yeah. You ain't see me activated.
Okay, so that was a fun position to get into, but anyway, I ended up switching over to my little belt sander because the spot hole driller was not working too well on all the different angles. It kept wanting to skip around on me, even though I punched the center of it to keep it from walking. But switching over to the belt sander worked really nice, so I was able to just come in and grind away at the little spot welds. And so I should, there we go, come off now. There we go. All right, now I can come in and clean this up, and then I can test fit the other piece. I'm not going to put that in until I change out this back piece, because this might have to slip underneath of it and stuff, depending on how much I change this out. Let's get this cleaned up so we can at least see how much of the metal of this other piece is still left here, and feels like it's pretty solid.
Push through those walls and the others will fall. Sit up, stand tall, you can get through it all. I need some energy, anxiety's no friend to me. I have a short memory, I don't really remember things. That's how I move on.
So I got the new gutter rail here fitted in place. Looks like it'll go right back in, so that'll be nice. So we're gonna wait on that though, because we still have to take care of this rear area. I need to go along now and drill out these spot welds so that I can remove this outer piece that has the big dent in it, and then the areas where there's rust at the top, I'm gonna probably take and cut little sections out of the other taillight panel and just cut it out to where the rusty spots are gone, and then weld the piece back in rather than replacing the whole taillight panel, because I think that'd be a lot of work. I mean, I could do it, but I'd rather just, you know, patch in these little spots that have the rust holes and just leave the original steel. So anyways, let's get these spot welds drilled out, and then we'll see what else we need to do. All right, so I came in here with a marker and I marked where all the little pinch welds are that I can see. So I need to get those drilled out with a little spot weld cutter. And then right here, there's a couple of them right here I need to get. And then we'll get this piece removed. And then once this is off, we can work on getting this little lip replaced where you can see this little rusted spot right here. So let's get these drilled out and then get this off here. Okay, so I got this piece removed. You can see the big dent that was in it. So I had to drill out a whole bunch of spot welds. They had a whole bunch of them run along here, as you can see. And then there was, I don't know, what, 9 of them over here in this corner. So that side's ridiculous. This side, they had 3 of them. This side, they had 9 or so spot welds right here. So anyway, that was a pain in the butt. But anyway, this part right here, where I need to remake this corner, this under piece that I took off of there actually has the proper shape to it, as you can see right here. So I may be able to cut that out instead of having to reform all this, and then I can just cut this out and weld it in here so this corner and stuff's perfect. And then when I put the piece underneath, you know, get all these spot welds filled in and stuff. But anyway, so now we need to go over to the new panel, and we need to spot weld this piece off so that we can fit it up and see how it fits. And then we can work on replacing this piece, because we have to get this one off of the other new panel before I can cut this backing piece out. So anyways, let's go over to the new piece and get this piece removed. All right, so I got the new panel out. I need to come along and I need to drill all these little spot welds that are along here so I can get that piece off and then fit it up and see how it fits. And then before I put it back in, I need to come in and cut out these notched spots right here, because I don't want to replace, you know, I could, you know, come along and cut all this all the way across and just replace the whole thing. But I have to have both of these side gutter rails out before it goes back in. and I don't want to play a guessing game on how high to put this. So if I just, you know, come right in here where it's good metal, cut it out, replace that spot, same thing over here, you know, from here over, then I'll know exactly how high it needs to be because I'll still have stuff there. So, and I don't want to have to, you know, weld all the way across it. I'd rather just do a couple little spots since it doesn't really need it all the way across. So anyway, let's get this other one, the spot welds drilled out and get that off and see what we need to do. All right, so we got that piece ready to go. So now I need to come in here and get this spot right here cut out so I can get a new patch piece put in there. So let's get this cut out of here and then get the new one cut out and fit it up here and see how well it fits. All right, so I took the piece that I cut out and I laid it on here exactly where it goes, right there, and then I marked about a ½ inch on either side of where I need to cut so that I can then place it up there and then trace exactly where I need to cut. So anyway, let's get this piece cut out and then get it moved over there and see how it fits. All right, so next thing we're working on getting rid of this rust spot right here. I'm gonna get this cut out. I already got the template piece cut out of it, made it much larger than the actual spot. So once I get the part cut out, then I can mark it and get it the exact same size, and then I can move on to the next one. I'm gonna get all of the pieces made before I weld them in, because after I get them all made, then I need to come back and get rid of all the paint that's on here and the seam sealer to get it stripped out all down to bare metal so I can start piecing all back together. So anyway, let's get this piece cut out of here. All right, so it's the next day. It started to get too dark last night to film. So anyway, we're getting back into it. So now I need to come in here and get this last side channel piece off right here. And then once we have that off, then we can start cleaning up all the paint and get everything stripped off so it's ready to start welding the pieces back in. So, all right, let's get into it. All right, so we got that last little rail piece taken out. So now the next thing to do is to come in here and clean up all of the extra paint and the seam sealer and everything and get it ready to get these patch pieces put back in here. But that part's gonna be pretty boring, so I'm gonna do that part off camera, and then the next one we'll get back on to getting the patch pieces put back in, and then maybe move on to getting the front end and stuff taken off so we can repair the door bushings and get the new fenders put on and the front bumper and all that stuff. So I hope you guys like this one. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this one with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.